important message to all our teachers, and that message is a very, very big thank you for the role that you're playing to help us get through this pandemic. It is absolutely vital that our students get the best education that they possibly can during the next 4-6 weeks, during the next 3 months, during the next 6 months, for however long it takes for us to flatten the curve. And the role that our teachers are going to play during this is going to be vital, because without them fronting up to our classrooms and making sure that they're looking after those students whose parents have to work, or those vulnerable students, or without them being able to provide that tuition online for those students who are being asked to stay at home, without that role, our children won't get that continuity of learning that they need. So the PM has sent a big shout out to our teachers, and can I say to all the parents out there right across our nation. As school begins to resume for term 2, it's happening in Victoria this week, it'll happen in Queensland and the NT next week, and various states and territories will then roll into the second term. When you're engaging with your principal, when you're engaging with the teachers, please stop and say a big thanks to them for the role that they're playing, because we do not want our children's education to suffer during this pandemic. I'm happy to take any questions.
Minister, how are you going to protect the health of teachers who are obviously, quite a few of them are quite scared about going back into these environments? How will you protect their health?
So the medical expert panel, which is the panel which is made up of the Chief Medical Officer from the Commonwealth and all the state and territory Chief Medical Officers, has already given guidance to schools about making sure that we look after the safety of our teachers, and they're continuing to monitor that and to provide that guidance. So some of the things that they've suggested have been, extra sanitizer at schools, extra washing of hands, having lunchtime breaks done at different times for different cohorts. If there are teachers who are 65 years or older, giving them a different role which doesn't involve teaching in the classroom. And they're going to continue to monitor this on a daily basis.
Minister, regarding the messaging coming out, are parents going to be a bit confused, as some states are saying, look, keep your kids home and as much as necessary to stay home? Prime Minister's urging for schools to open back up. Is it fair that people are going to be a bit confused about what's safe, what's going to happen, what they should do with their kids, keep them home, send them to school?
So there's been a very consistent message right across the nation, and that is, if parents need to work, or for vulnerable students, you should be attending school. And that's been adopted by all the states and territories. Now, there are obviously different approaches within that in different jurisdictions, and states and territories ultimately have the final decision with what happens with their schools in their state or territory. But the clear message is, for all those parents who are working and they can't look after their children safely at home, schools are open and your students can attend school. For all those vulnerable children, schools open and you can attend school. And can I say to all those parents who are out there working, please do not feel guilty about sending your students to school. You are playing a vital role in helping our economy, to helping our society get through this. You are playing a vital role in us dealing with this pandemic. So we want you to be able to safely know that your children are getting the education that they want at school, because school's open for you while you're working. And also for those children, from whether they be from low socio-economic parts of society, or whether they be vulnerable children, if a parent thinks that child is safer at school than at home, then we want the schools being open for them as well.
You say that quality of education, you don't want to have compromise. You don't want the quality of education to be compromised. Can you really make sure that it won't be compromised, given that there'll be some teachers that won't be able to teach, there might be an at-risk group, that there'll be some kids at home having online delivery, some kids at school that need teachers' support? This doesn't sound like something where we can absolutely have the same level of quality in education that we would have in a normal situation.
Well, of course it's not going to be the same. But we want our children to get the best opportunity they possibly can to learn through this pandemic. And that's why all state and territory education ministers, all premiers, chief ministers are so focused on ensuring that we're going to get that continuity of education for our children through this. And that's why we want to make sure, in particular for those children of people who need to be working, for those vulnerable children, that they're getting the opportunity for their students to be able to safely study and learn in a school environment.
Australia's cases have been declining for the last couple of weeks. Why not keep schools shut for a few more weeks until cases have declined even further?
Well, because what we want to ensure is that as best we can, our children get that continuity of education, that continuity of learning. And we don't want them missing out on an education as we deal with this pandemic. As the PM has said, this pandemic's taking a lot from a lot of people, but we do not want it to take away our children's education.
How concerned are you about the impact potentially already on those vulnerable kids who may disengage from the system because of this?
Well, that is one of our great concerns. We want to make sure that those children don't suffer as a result of this pandemic. We want to make sure that the schools are open so that they can go and get that education that they need, because you know, if there's 3 or 4 children in a home and there's only one computer, that could get very trying and very tough in terms of being able to provide that continuity of education. In many regional and rural settings where it just isn't possible to learn online. The NT, there are some parts where you cannot deliver online learning. So we want to make sure that our schools are open for those children. And I know that's what state and territory leaders also want to see, because none of us want to see those children in particular suffer as a result of this pandemic.